माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन जय व्रजजन रंजन जय यशोदानंदन जय व्रजजन रंजन जय यमुना तीरवन चारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तीरवन चारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtotara Siddha Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtotara Siddha Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Kodi Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Grandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 31, entitled The Gopis' Songs of Separation, verse number 15 till 18. So we will repeat together the 18th verse, which has a short purport. Till then I will read. aṭati bhavān ahni kānanam truṭi yugāyate tvām apaśyatām kuṭila-kuntalaṁ śrī-mukhaṁ ca te jaḍa udīkṣatāṁ pakṣma-kṛd dṛśām. Translation: when you go off to the forest during the day, a tiny fraction of a second becomes like a millennium for us because we cannot see you. And even when we can eagerly look upon your beautiful face so lovely with its adornment of curly locks. Our pleasure is hindered by our eyelids, which were fashioned by the foolish Creator. Verse 16. Padisutanyayān bhradrubān tvām adivilinkyatenti achyutagata gadividastavo gita mohita kitavayoshita kastyajenishi. Translation. Dear Achyuta, you know very well why we have come here. Who but a cheater like you would abandon young woman who come to see him in the middle of the night, enchanted by the loud song of his flute? Just to see you, we have completely rejected our husbands, children, ancestors, brothers, and other relatives. Verse 17. Rahasi samvidam hrichayodayam prahasitānanam prema vikshanam brahadurashriyo vikṣatāmate muhuradispriha muhyate manah. Translation. Our minds are repeatedly bewildered as we think of the intimate conversations we had with you in secret. Feel the rise of lust in our hearts and remember your smiling face, your loving glances, and your broad chest, the resting place of the goddess of fortune. Thus we experience the most severe hankering for you. Verse 18, we'll repeat. Vrajavano kasam vektirangate Vrijinahantriyalam Vishwamangalam Tyajamanakchanastosprihatmanam Swajanahridrujam yennishudanam Vrajavano kasam vektirangate Vrijinahantriyalam Vishwamangalam Tyajamanakchanastosprihatmanam Swajanahridrujam yennishudanam. Rajavano kasam vektirangate Vrijinahantriyalam Vishwamangalam Mataji. Rajavano kasam vektirangate Vrijinahantriyalam Vishwamangalam Yennishudanam Word to a translation, responsibly please. Vrajavana, in the forest of Vraja. Ogasam, for those who dwell. Vyaktihi, the appearance. Anga, dear one. Te, your. Regina, of distress. Hantri, the agent of destruction. Alam, extremely so. Vishwamangalam, all auspicious. Tyaja, please release. Manak, a little. Cha, and. Naha, to us. Tvat, for you. Spriha, with hankering. Atmanam, whose minds are filled. Swa, your own. Jana, devotees. Hrit, in the hearts. Rujam, of the disease. Yat, which is. Nishudanam, that which counteracts. O beloved, your all auspicious appearance vanquishes the distress of those living in Vraja's forests. Our minds long for your association. Please give to us just a bit of that medicine which counteracts the disease in your devotees' hearts. Purport by followers of Srila Prabhupada. According to the Acharyas, the gopis repeatedly entreat Lord Krishna to place his lotus feet on their breasts. The gopis are not victims of material lust, but rather they are absorbed in pure love of Godhead, and thus want to serve Lord Krishna's lotus feet by offering their beautiful breasts to him. Materialistic persons who are victims of mundane sex desire will not be able to understand how these conjugal dealings take place on a pure spiritual platform, and that is the materialist's great misfortune. Om Ajnanatimiranthaśya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I pay my humble respects to all devotees, and especially senior devotees, and seek their blessing to speak a few words in glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam and Srila Prabhupada and his devotees. So here, when I saw this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, I found this is very advanced. And the initial thoughts that came to my mind are about Srila Prabhupada's instructions to devotees who indulged in these topics without qualifications back in the 70s. So I remembered a few instructions which I heard and read, which were given by Srila Prabhupada when in LA, some of the neophyte devotees were exclusively focusing only on these kind of intimate pastimes of gopis with Lord Sri Krishna. So in this section, Pradyumna Prabhu remembers, he mentions that Srila Prabhupada called upon some of these devotees and asked them, are you interested in these kind of pastimes? They said yes. And they said that, look, according to our philosophy, okay, there is a gradation of devotees and gopis are the topmost. And they said, so we are interested in these topmost devotees and their exclusive dealings with the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada immediately corrected and he made a very profound statement that for you there is no such difference. So they asked, is there any difference between cows in Vrindavan and the gopis? Srila Prabhupada said, no. For you there is no difference because you are very neophyte. You are still in mundane conception of life. So don't differentiate. Philosophically we may see, but in terms of practice, in terms of reading, we take the whole Krishna book, Srimad Bhagavatam, in the equal capacity. We don't discriminate based on our mundane conception. And Srila Prabhupada didn't want us to do that. And then Prabhupada continued. He made this point, there is no difference for you. And then he continued that without realization, don't jump like a monkey. So when I was thinking about these topics, I was thinking, where am I standing? So then immediately I remembered having a brief conversation with His Grace Mahatma Prabhu, who gave a class a few days back, a very wonderful class. He mentioned, yes, we can all discuss these topics and we can discuss these topics to anyone, but in the level we are and that which is beneficial, not beyond. So that made a lot of sense because that's why we have Bhagavatam class. It is for everyone. Srila Prabhupada further instructed the devotees that it was a long conversation, but very important point to make the point very clear. Prabhupada said, okay, these topics are the highest, but you are the lowest. So don't jump. So Prabhupada made it very clear. He was putting everyone on the same level where they are at. They are meant to be. Otherwise, we can always think that we are advanced. So Prabhupada said, first deserve and then desire. So I found these instructions are very pertinent for all the time, because on an individual basis and on a collective basis as a society, there is always a possibility of deviation. And so Srila Prabhupada is instructing long before. He can see that there can be possibilities even in our individual practice, because to see that we are more advanced than what we are, that is a Sahajiya mentality. Prabhupada strongly wants this in his letters, in Nectar of Devotion. He writes, why? Because of the material conditioning, we think, okay, I am advanced. I can dwell upon these topics in detail. But that is not the case. We have to take guidance from really advanced devotees. Then we know what's really going on. And Srila Prabhupada, as an expert teacher and a preacher, he is very careful and cautious in presenting these topics. And it is very interesting how Srila Prabhupada presents these topics. Srila Prabhupada wanted to have a bona fide parampara purport to the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, which he found it may not happen in his lifespan. And so he wrote Krishna book. He gave Krishna book to all of us. And in Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada's presentation is very interesting. Because when we are preaching or when we are teaching, there is always a problem, because the audience can be very much variegated. There can be a few people who are very, very new. They may not know anything, or they may know a few things. And there can be a big chunk who may be on a middle level. And there can be a few who are advanced. So if you are taking a session, it's always a challenge for a teacher or a preacher to think, how can we balance? How can we accommodate everyone? And it takes expertise to present something which is relevant for everyone, and that which can inspire everyone. And Srila Prabhupada is such an expert teacher and a preacher. The right example for that is Krishna book itself. Of course, his lectures are, his preaching is certainly, all aspects of his preaching goes in that manner. However, especially in this connection, especially in this topic, when we look into Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada's Krishna book is very, very unique. On one level, we distribute Krishna book to everyone. Right? We had marathon a few months back. We were distributing Krishna book. I was distributing in Melbourne, particularly in Victoria and around that area in Australia. And we were distributing Krishna books to everyone. We don't discriminate. It is the most advanced pastimes. Start from Krishna's birth. It is going through the most advanced rasa topics, rasa panchadhyay. But we can distribute Krishna book to everyone. How is it possible? Because Srila Prabhupada presents very carefully and cautiously with the support of his own personal realizations and references from Bhagavad-Gita. And I was going through the references in this particular section of Krishna book, starting from the 29th chapter. Srila Prabhupada has referred Bhagavad-Gita so many times. Prabhupada entitles the 29th chapter as the introduction to rasa dance, where Prabhupada makes sure that, okay, Krishna is not an ordinary personality. He makes it very clear. Look, Prabhupada writes, beside that, as stated in Bhagavad-Gita, this is the kind of Prabhupada make the statement. Okay, you are the only enjoyer. Here, the gopis are meeting Krishna, but Prabhupada is taking the instructions from Bhagavad-Gita to make sure that we get the right point. We don't misconstrue the position of Krishna or the dealings of the topmost devotees with Krishna. You are the only enjoyer, you are the only proprietor, and you are the only friend. So, Srila Prabhupada paraphrases verses on Bhagavad-Gita and put it in the context so that even a neophyte can understand the topmost pastime and at the same time don't get deviated. It is a genuine concern of a spiritual master that by their instructions a disciple don't go down. Have seen and I have heard from my own spiritual master speaking many times that they are very cautious and careful that they don't give an instruction that is not, again, it is too much for a disciple to follow. They are very cautious. In the same way, when Srila Prabhupada presents, he wants to back up, he wants to give the support so that everyone is on the right plane. And he quotes verses like Janma Karma Chame Vidyam and also Ajobisan Avyatma, paraphrases them to show that, okay, Krishna is not ordinary and his birth and activities are not mundane and don't take them cheaply. So on one side, Srila Prabhupada covers those who are neophytes and those who haven't seen any devotee, those who haven't been in touch with the devotees at all. For them, Srila Prabhupada makes this entire 10 canto accessible. That is on one spectrum. And on the other side, it is so amazing that Prabhupada presents his realizations and also he gives very detailed, fine points from the commentaries of the acharyas in Krishna book. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Jiva Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. When we go through their commentary systematically, when we study Srimad Bhagavatam, when we go through 10 canto, when we read their commentaries along with Krishna book, we can see that yes, Srila Prabhupada is quoting all of them. And whatever we need to know, Prabhupada is presenting in Krishna book. So it is so amazing that Srila Prabhupada is catering for everyone in Krishna book. So this is expertise. This is the sign of a very expert preacher. Sometimes when we are preaching, we want to preach to a certain audience in a certain way. Srila Prabhupada, he could relate to everyone. This is the sign of a very advanced devotee. He can relate to everyone. When he gives lecture to everyone, everyone feels, okay, Prabhupada is speaking to me. Prabhupada is looking at me. I have heard from many Srila Prabhupada's disciples. Many of you are here. So many of them say that their primary association with Srila Prabhupada was just a few words. Some of them a glance. But they felt that it was very personal and they cherished throughout their life. So this is the sign of a pure devotee who can inspire everyone. Then, when we go through this section, we see that this is a very advanced topic, and there is no long purport, and it's very concise and very precise. I had one experience in this regard. I was just going with a senior devotee, seeing some of the temples around Vrindavan. And as I was going through a temple, we were taking darshan, going to take darshan. So darshan was not open. So we sat there and we listened to a lecture, a katha, Krishna katha, by a devotee. Not our devotee, not from ISKCON, but katha that's going on. When I heard, it was very impressive. It was directly quoting Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srimad Bhagavatam. Very impressive katha, very philosophical, tattva explained very well. We heard for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and I told a devotee next to me that it's very impressive. He presents everything according to the tattva. We have read these things in Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then this devotee asked me, shall we come back and shall we listen next day? Shall we exclusively come to listen to this lecture next day? We went to just to take darshan. We happened to listen. I said, no, not coming. So this made me to think, why did I say no? Was it just a reflection, or is there any more than that? So yes, indeed, there is more than that. When we talk about shiksha, we stick to the teachings of Srila Prabhupada and his followers. I was thinking, yes, anyone can present tattva, anyone can give knowledge, but how about the mood and mission that Srila Prabhupada carries? Srila Prabhupada can give, his followers can give. It is very important for us. I was reflecting on this point. Look, I cannot take shiksha from anywhere and everywhere. It doesn't work like that. I had to be very careful. I can only listen from Prabhupada and his followers, which is coming from our sampradaya and specifically from Srila Prabhupada. Why? Prabhupada explains the definition of realization in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada says that realization is something that which a teacher, a preacher, or a devotee can give to someone to their level. So he can relate to their level and can give that understanding. Not just presenting, it's not just an information transfer. Rather, present in such a way that they can understand. So that is realization. And I was thinking, okay, this devotee, all glories, no offense, but that is not relatable to the problems that I am dealing with. I have my own personal issues which I am dealing with. It is not on that level. It is very advanced, okay, all glories, but it's not relatable to my level. Even though the tattva, everything is right, there are right references, and there is not the strong mood that Srila Prabhupada carries. So that is very important. And especially I was thinking, I have heard about that, okay, there are so many kathas happens in and around here, but I never really heard anything so far, even though coming for some time. And it's not a problem elsewhere. When you come to Dham, okay, one can get deviated if you go spend time and we take shiksha not from the right source. So we need to, I was thinking, okay, I need to be quite careful in this regard. And Srila Prabhupada has given everything. So see nectar devotion. It is a complete science of bhakti-yoga. I heard the initial instructions given to the devotees about reading nectar devotion in LA. Prabhupada said, if you don't understand anything in nectar devotion, don't come to me, reread the book. And if you have any questions, you again read the book. So what does that mean? It means that when we read the book and parallelly we are engaged in our sadhana and service, there is some cleansing is taking place, and these books reveal in itself. So Srimad Bhagavatam and other Srila Prabhupada's books are dynamic. They reveal. So as we perform devotional service, they reveal. I remember when I was becoming a devotee, the initial days, I had many questions. When I went to Melbourne Temple many years back, I was thinking, look, I know that these people are going to tell that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are worshipping Krishna. And if I go to a Shiva temple, they will tell Shiva is Supreme. I have heard all these kind of things, but I understand that's not the right thing. Everything is the same. came to a conclusion, everything is the same. I was thinking like that. And when I met devotees, they gave Bhagavad-Gita. And when they gave Bhagavad-Gita, I was thinking, okay, I need to know the absolute. I took Bhagavad-Gita as it is and started reading the 7th chapter. Because the title was, or the title is, The Knowledge of the Absolute. I was thinking, okay, I need to know this. I started reading daily. Every day I would read the 7th chapter. After some time, I pretty much memorized all the verses, and I was thinking, Prabhupada is really preaching to me. And I was thinking, no, everything is not the same. Prabhupada is writing, very strongly the position of Krishna, and I was feeling, okay, smashed. And I came to the conclusion that what Krishna says and what Prabhupada says, it is the same. But I have difficulty in accepting. What these devotees are saying, it's the same. But I have difficulty in accepting. And since I was going and having prasadam regularly, one day I thought, I should do some service. So I went up to a devotee and asked, Prabhu, can I do some service? Prabhu said, okay, you can start serving prasadam for Sunday feast. I just did that service for maybe a couple of weeks. My doubts were all cleared up by itself. So this is the power of service. We do some service, Krishna becomes merciful, and I didn't have any doubts. I understood, oh yeah, Krishna is supreme. Yeah, it's mentioned in Bhagavad-Gita, it's true. What devotees are telling, it's all true. In that regard, I never had any doubt. So I felt, okay, this devotion service is so powerful. Just a simple thing, I didn't do anything great. For Sunday feast, just serving some sabji. That is my service. In a few weeks, I realized, a couple of weeks, I understood, okay, I can accept everything what devotees are saying. So this is the power of devotional service, and these books reveal by itself. They are dynamic. And here in this verse 15, gopis are expressing their concern. What is their concern? Their concern is the blinking of the eyes, and that time is considered truṭi. Truṭi means 1 upon 1,700 of a second. How fraction is that? 0.0001 second. It is so, we don't even realize that we are blinking our eyes. It is such a short time, and they are feeling it is like a yuga. Truṭi yugāyate tvām apaśyatām. Just that fraction of a second, they experience as yuga. It is such a long time. And it is interesting to see that the position of gopis we can't really understand, but it is completely contrary in one sense. On one side, when they spend time with Krishna, they spend one night with Krishna for rasa dance. It happened many times, Maharaj. But that time it is mentioned, it's like Brahmaratri. It is like the night, day of Brahma. It's a long time. But that time they felt like a moment when they are with Krishna. And here, when they are not with, they are with Krishna, but when they are blinking their eyes, that time they considered like yuga. It is such a long period. You can see this contrary experiences in both ends. They are having these kind of experiences. We cannot really understand. This is the nature of the topmost devotees. We can relate to our own level. For example, some senior devotees, spiritual master, they're giving wonderful classes. We are in their kirtan. We feel like, okay, let this time now stop. Let it go on. Let it go on. But, time went so fast. So when we are engaged in Krishna service and we are actually absorbed in service, then time goes very fast. With our experience many times, and devotees can say the decades go very fast. We realize how 10 years went by, how 20 years went by. Time goes very fast. If you are completely engaged, then time goes fast. Whereas here, gopis out of separation, they are feeling, no, that isn't the case. It is going very, very slow, like a truṭi. But what is the essence of it? So here, for this verse, there is no purport here, but there is essentially the same verse we can see in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 9th canto, in the 24th chapter. That's the last chapter of the 9th canto. And that chapter is very important because that is the entrance to the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And there is a very nice verse where Prabhupada gives a very beautiful purport. That is the 65th verse. Yasyananam makara kuntala charukarna bhrajat kapola mukhalam savilasahasam nityolsavam na tatrapu dṛṣibhi pipantyo naryo narascha mudita kupita nimescha. It's a very interesting verse because it is carrying the same meaning as this verse. And Prabhupada gives a beautiful purport here. Krishna's face is decorated with ornaments such as earrings resembling sharks. His ears are beautiful, his cheeks brilliant, and his smiling attractive to everyone. Whoever sees Lord Krishna sees a festival. Nityotsavam. Nityotsavam. His face and body are fully satisfying for everyone to see. But the devotees are angry at the Creator for the disturbance caused by the momentary blinking of their eyes. So it's the same point. The complaint of the gopis about Brahmaji for such a creation. And Srila Prabhupada explains, seeing Krishna is Nityotsavam. And we have our own humble realization about Nityotsavam. When we come here, we see the lordships here. When we see Radha Shyam Sundar, it's like a Nityotsavam, it's like a festival. The decoration is like a festival. And devotees who see them year after year, it's applicable everywhere. We see them year after year, day after day. We come Mangalarati, we come at 7 o'clock for Shringar Arati. When we see them, it's a ever fresh experience. We don't feel bored. So this is the mercy of the Lord. This is the mercy of the Lord. I remember one of the senior devotees mentioning to us that I'm seeing the beautiful form of Krishna, the deity form, for about 50 years. But the attractiveness is increasing. Why? Because as we are progressing in Krishna consciousness, they become more and more beautiful. They are all attractive, but they reveal their attractiveness more and more. So this is Krishna consciousness. That's why it is Nityotsavam and not Tatrapuhu dṛṣibhi pipantyo. They are drinking with their eyes the beauty, and still never satiated. Never satiated. General things we get satiated, but it's never getting satiated. So this is the beauty of Krishna. And Prabhupada explains in this purport why these great devotees are complaining about Brahma, because of the attraction for beauty of Krishna. They are so attracted to the beauty of Krishna and they are complaining about Brahma. That is the intensity of their love. And with that love, they are able to perceive the beauty of Krishna. So here, and also there is a purport to this section as well in this particular verse 9, 24, 65. So here Prabhupada writes, the inhabitants of Vrindavan saw Krishna almost every moment, but when Krishna left the village for the pasturing grounds where he tended the cows and calves, the gopis were very much afflicted because they saw Krishna walking on the sand and thought that Krishna's lotus feet, which they dared not place on their breast because they thought their breast not soft enough, were being pierced by broken chips of stone. This is the consciousness of the gopis. At the end of the 9th canto, in the 24th chapter, we find a hint of Krishna's beauty, Prabhupada writes. Now we are proceeding to the 10th canto, which is considered Krishna's head. In that way, Prabhupada explains how the 9th canto is proceeding towards the 10th canto. So this is our practical application. We can stare at Krishna's beautiful form. We can see him as much as we want. And looking at his face, looking at his beautiful eyebrows, is going to evaporate the lust in our heart. It's mentioned in the 2nd canto of Bhagavatam. We have lusty desires. Lust is there in the heart that we evaporated simply seeing the beautiful eyebrows of Krishna. So this is Krishna's beautiful form. And in the next verse, the gopis are telling, we have given up everyone. Pati Sutanyvayan Bhratru Bandhavan. We have given up our husbands, our dynasty, our friends and relatives. We have given up everyone. Why? Why that happened? Just by hearing the loud sound of your flute. So when hearing that sound, we gave up everything. We couldn't do anything. We gave up everything and we came to you. Now, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can hear from Rupa Goswami, Krishna's flute is very special. It is mentioned that even great demigods get bewildered hearing the flute sound of Krishna. Initially I was thinking Krishna's flute, it's only in Vrindavan, but some advanced souls who are out there, they can also listen to Krishna's flute. It is mentioned even the universal covering can open up by the sound of Krishna's flute, and it can go into the ears of Brahma. It is mentioned it is vismapanam vedasam. It is bewildering Lord Brahma. It's bewildering Lord Shiva. They are thinking, what's really going on? So this is the sound of Krishna's flute. And can we hear Krishna's flute? May not be directly, but can we hear Krishna's flute? Yes, we have to by the sound vibration of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I was seeing, okay, gopis are speaking on the highest level, but on our level, we also had some change to our consciousness after start chanting and hearing Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We had so many different kinds of conditionings, so many different kinds of problems. Before coming to Krishna consciousness, at least many things reduced. Still we have problems, but we can see such a difference. It's like before and after. Sometimes you see some photos, the treatment for the bald head, you see before and after. Or they do some kind of plastic surgery, before, after. Similarly, every devotee has their own story. Before start chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and after start chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There is before and after. We can all have our own stories like that, the before and after. So this is our level on understanding this sound of Krishna's flute. That is hearing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And we can reflect on ourselves. How sincerely are we hearing Krishna's names? How are we trying to be focused on Krishna's names? And in our society, there is so much of support in chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Of course, we have our morning program, but there are so many wonderful Vaishnavas who are giving so much of advice to us on chanting Krishna's names. His Grace Burijan Prabhu Sachinandan Maharaj, during lockdown Mahatma Prabhu, he was giving so many seminars on chanting. It was so helpful. We were locked up in Melbourne. Melbourne was the longest locked up place in the whole world. And we were sitting in Brahmachari Ashram and we were tuning into this live Zoom sessions, many sessions on chanting. It was very helpful. So we have so much of support. We are so grateful to the devotees and Srila Prabhupada, so that we are giving so much of support in chanting. As Prabhupada said, it is easy for the simple and it's complicated for the complicated. So I'm complicated, so I need so much of support in simply hearing this Mahamantra. So this is chanting, and by chanting and serving in the association of the devotees, we can find such a change to our consciousness. And gopis continue to explain their desires, which are very advanced. They tell in verse 17, 18 what they want. They remember the association with Krishna. However, in the purport, it is made very clear that such dealings of gopis with Krishna are not on mundane platform. Naturally, when we are materially conditioned, we think such dealings as very mundane, but gopis are not on that platform. Prabhupada repeatedly explains this point. Why? As Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Atmendriya Priti is Kama, Atmendriya Priti, to fulfill our own sensual desires, our own demands of the senses. But Krishnendriya Priti is Prema. So as we can see here, the gopis are not interested in their own pleasure. They are not at all interested in their pleasure. Rather, they are completely absorbed in Krishna's lotus feet. What's going to happen to the feet of Krishna, which is very, very soft. Recently, I was doing parikrama with His Grace Dinabandhu Prabhu. So whenever we go, even in the courtyard, when we go near a tamal tree, Prabhu would ask us, touch the soft new leaves. touch the edge. So I was touching. Prabhu says, yes, this is the softness of Krishna's body. Please experience this. So he was telling all the devotees to experience the softness of Krishna's body. We cannot otherwise experience. So this is a very practical realization we get. Yes, it's very soft. And when Prabhu was telling, when I was touching, I was remembering a verse by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti-Rasamrita Sindhu. He says, Ahaha Davambuta Kante Ramushya Sukumarada Kumarasya. Oh, what can I tell about the softness of Krishna's body? Rupa Goswami says, just when a soft leaf, just a new shoot or a soft leaf, touch the body of Krishna's body is becoming reddened and there is a bruise there. So I was thinking, oh, this is very serious. What is the softness of Krishna? Then simultaneously I thought, okay, this is just one side of Krishna. Is Krishna only soft? Yes, he is soft. Since he is the personality of Godhead, he has other side also. Right? Mallanam Ashani Nranam Naravaro Strinam Smaro Murtiman. As after a few chapters we will reach Krishna's entrance into Mathura, into the wrestling arena. What happened? The wrestlers, they were seeing Krishna as Mallanam Ashani, like a thunderbolt. Even when he was taken in the sky, he became heavier than the heaviest. So this is Krishna. Krishna has both sides. When he was dancing on Kaliya serpent, he was punching. It was so heavy. So Krishna has both sides. It depends on the consciousness. It is same with the deities. Exactly the same thing with the deities. How we see the deities, so they reciprocate. One time, someone asked His Grace Jananivas Prabhu, what are the deities made of? That's an interesting question. We have the classic answer. It can be made of, the stone, the wood, etc., etc. Prabhu said, the deities are made of how your heart is made of. If your heart is filled with devotion, then you perceive deities in a different way. Otherwise, if the heart is stone-like, then you see stone. So it is the reciprocation of Krishna. So Krishna has all sides because he is the supreme absolute truth. And so these gopis are very much concerned, as it is mentioned in verse 17 and 18. How can he walk in the forest? How can he walk in the forest and there are thorns, there are husks, and they know that he doesn't wear shoes, and how much pain Krishna is going to experience, and that is a concern. So these verses are out of great humility. In great humility, they are praying to Krishna to come to them, and they want to serve the lotus feet of Krishna. Ultimately, the entire desire is this. They want to serve the lotus feet of Krishna. And in our level, we can understand that when we come to the prayers of the gopis, in this chapter, in many other chapters, we can see when they feel separation, especially Radharani uses one word, and if you understand that word, that is the essence. They mention kinkari nam. We are kinkari. We are maid servants. We are servants. This is the essential point. When many devotees were getting initiated, many devotees started asking Srila Prabhupada, what is the meaning of our name? So Prabhupada was explaining, okay, this is the one meaning. But after some time, Srila Prabhupada said, no need to know the first part of the meaning, but please understand the second part of your name, Das or Dasi. If you understand that very well, then life becomes successful. So it's a very important point. So we can understand this essential point in prayers of gopis here, and we can see even in very advanced chapters like 41 in Bhagavad-Gita. I was reading recently because we are systematically going through entire Bhagavatam, and there also makes a point, the kinkari nam. So this is the point we need to understand. Okay, we have to serve. We are nothing but we have to serve. At least we have to understand this point, and then we can move on. And again, this essence is mentioned in verse 18 and in 19. In 19, there is a phrase that is mentioned, that is bhavat aisham naha. Gopis mentions bhavat aisham naha. For those who have accepted you, Krishna, as their life and soul. This is the essence. So if you see this Bhagavad-Gita, the essence is this one point. They have accepted Krishna as their life and soul, and they are dedicated for Krishna's service, and there is nothing else in their life. And that is the essence. And if you want to know more about this, it is given by Srila Prabhupada. Where? In Bhagavad-Gita. In chapter 2. Prabhupada writes in the purport, not exactly in the same way, Vyavasayikatmika buddhir ekeha kuranantana bahushakhahi anantasyo buddhino avyavasayinam. Very famous verse, that those who are on the path of devotion service, they are resolute in purpose and their aim is one. But for those who are irresolute, their intelligence is many-branched. Their intelligence is many-branched. So this is one focused intelligence in devotion service. There in purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes Guru Ashtagam. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado yasya prasada nagati kutopi. He quotes that verse, and if you try to understand the background of this verse, it's very interesting. Srila Prabhupada read the commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur to this verse in 1950s, well before starting ISKCON. And that time, the purport of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur moved Srila Prabhupada a lot. It touched Srila Prabhupada's heart a lot. And the purport, I will read, not the whole thing. The instruction of my spiritual master, here, to worship the personality of Godhead, chanting, remembering, serving His feet, that is the only sadhana, that is my only sadhya, my only livelihood. Following the instruction of my spiritual master, that is the only sadhana, that is the only sadhya, that is only livelihood. I am incapable of giving up these instructions either in the stage of practice or in the stage of perfection. They alone are my object of desire and my only responsibility. Besides them, I can desire no other responsibility, not even in my dreams. It is all the same to me whether I feel happy or unhappy, or whether my material existence is eradicated or not. So can you see the mood and mission of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and how Srila Prabhupada was very much moved by that statement, and Prabhupada said, yes, my spiritual master's instructions are my life and soul. So this is the essence of that. And Srila Prabhupada demonstrated that. He went through all this personal pain. We know that, we all know that. And this is actually the mood of these great devotees. As it is mentioned here, the intimate devotees of Lord Sri Krishna gopis, they are demonstrating that mood in this verse, in this chapter, and it is very, very clear, bhavata ayushamna. And that is the mood demonstrated by Srila Prabhupada, and he made it very practical for us in terms of the process and in terms of the mood, because we have our spiritual masters, we have our authorities, we have our senior devotees whom we can take guidance from, and then we can reflect upon ourselves. What is our mood? How are we following? What corrections that I have to make? What guidance that I need to make? We can see Srila Prabhupada's life, and we can see also glorious lives of so many followers of Srila Prabhupada who dedicated their life, and they are dedicating their life for Srila Prabhupada, for spreading ISKCON everywhere. That is our inspiration, and we can follow, at least we can try to follow in their footsteps. So that was the meditation that I had after reading all these amazing verses, even though they are on a very high standard, at least in our own humble level. With this, I stop. Thank you very much. Is there any corrections or any questions, or if any devotees want to add anything? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
A long time I'm thinking about asking. And to begin with, nicely you told about the telling explanation lecture of Prabhupada. It's very nice. My question, why should I come to a lecture? Why should I visit it? if I read the Bhagavatam or the Krishna books, it is really very interesting and really nice story. So now come the question. How can I teach? I can stay home because I know the stories very well and it's very interesting. How do I learn to, normally based on the book, the lecture is not going about the mantra or maybe the mantra we have read. How can you learn as a teachable to make a lecture around this one verse? Or normally I call, is it understandable?
Not clear.
The point is, there is one verse, I read it, I know the whole chapter, maybe the whole chapter, the whole paragraph. Still, the lecture is going about all something else. How to learn to make a lecture with not the content of that verse.
How to make a lecture without the content, or?
I mean, I read one verse. I read one paragraph.
Simple, say it simple.
Simple is, I read one verse, only that verse. But I know the whole story, Prahlad, whatever, all the Bhagavatam, very nice histories. How you build to pick a whole lecture?
Oh, okay.
It is not standing in the book.
Basically explain what is there based on our realization. We read all books of Srila Prabhupada, read Prabhupada's purport, then based on what we have read, Prabhupada's realization, our own personal realization application, explain. Prabhu can add more.
Sutta Goswami was glorifying Shukadeva Goswami's recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam. All the sages in Naimisharanya wanted to hear more and more, glorifying that you're the perfect person, you're the most qualified. And it said that one can only give according to his level of understanding. And so basically, we're just trying to, he said, Das, we're following the footsteps of the great Acharya. So Sutta Goswami is going to repeat what Shukadeva Goswami, who heard from the Vyasa Dev. And we can only explain that because of the order of the spiritual master that we should all gather together and glorify the Supreme Lord, following in the footsteps of the great Acharyas. And that's the lecture that we've given, even though we shouldn't pick and choose. And if someone is giving a description, glorification of the Lord, you might think, well, maybe his realization is not so great, not really benefiting. I can just go home and read the book of Prabhupada because he's much more advanced. But the order of the Guru is that we come together and we hear the Bhagavatam, and like you said, any questions, comments, or corrections, we're discussing about advancement in spiritual life. Just my take.
Thank you.
I understand the question.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Any question? Okay. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Śrīmad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Gopavrindesh Prabhu ki jai.